Welcome, everyone. We are back again with another episode of the Flare Factor Ignite, where we talk about origin stories of various protocols that grace us with their presence on Flare. And today we have the honor to talk to Nick. Nick, can you introduce yourself for a second?
Hey, yeah. So I'm Nick. I'm the founder of Oxen Flow and Aureus Ox, an FTSO provider and infrastructure provider on Flare. Oxen Flow being the wallet portion of that.
All right. Well, welcome. So let's get started with the protocols and their names. So you just named two. So it's up to you where you want to start. But
Sure.
How come the names?
Yeah. No. So I'm the founder of two different products. The first of them being Aureus Ox, which is an infrastructure provider on Flare. The second one being Oxen Flow, which came post Aureus Ox. And Oxen Flow is a streamlined wallet built on Flare and the XRP ledger. So yeah, those are the two.
All right.
I can talk.
Yeah, thanks. So I guess you started off with the infrastructure. Maybe you can explain like why you jumped into that, and also maybe just give us some heads up about what that is exactly on Flare, because
Sure.
That's not necessarily the same as on other networks, and there might be new people listening. So
Sure. I'll start where I guess I can start by explaining exactly what it is on Flare, and I can tell you how I came to build it. So Aureus Ox, infrastructure provider on Flare. What does that mean? On other blockchains, really what that means is you run a validator on their network. On Flare, that differs because you're not just running a validator, you're running a whole infrastructure set. So you're running data aggregation software and submitting, pricing data on chain. You're also submitting transaction data from outside chains on to the Flare network so that those transactions can be verified. It's one of the main components of how F assets work. That's called the FDC. So you need to run FDC, Flare Data Connector infrastructure. You need to run a validator. You also need to run FTSO infrastructure. FTSO is the time series Oracle built on Flare. And that's really where it all started. We can kind of backtrack now. And originally when Flare launched, the first protocol that was launched on Flare was the FTSO. It was actually Songbird at the time. Songbird was the canary network for Flare. When I first got into this, I originally read the white paper for Flare, and I guess I can even start before that. Flare mentioned an airdrop for XRP holders. I was an avid XRP holder at the time. This is probably back in, I don't know, 2021 maybe, I think the year was when Songbird launched. So Flare announced their airdrop for XRP holders. I was an investor at the time, a software developer by trade, but I have never dabbled in cryptocurrency and blockchain development before. I'm actually an iOS developer by trade, and we can tell you how that transitioned into Oxen Flow. But I was always a blockchain enthusiast. I've read through a few of the white papers. And when Flare dropped their white paper, I got pretty hands-on, pretty deep into that white paper. And originally, I planned to just maybe run an agent. And an agent at the time was just somebody who was going to facilitate some of the minor things for F assets and be able to take fees and something very minor. But I saw that the FTSO, was something that I might be able to do as well. It was way more hands-on. It was a full software stack at the time of launch. There was no template for building the software, and really, I the software and the algorithms that I use today are still reminiscent of what they are when I first started. They've evolved like 10 times over, but Yeah, so it was first the XRP airdrop. Started reading the white paper. Thought I was going to be an agent, and then I just started writing, just because I thought it would be cool and I thought it was something I can do. And to be honest, I was pretty good at it. So um, it turned out that way, and yeah, so the FTSO software for Aureus Ox is built from the ground up. That's all its own proprietary software. It was never built on a template. And most of the original FTSO providers, there were about 5 of us that started submitting from the first transaction on Songbird, and I mean, I would imagine that everybody built their software from the ground up. So it was very cool. Pretty much a pioneers of the network at the time, and yeah, and then from there, there was Songbird. We started making our way a couple years later into the launch of Flare. Um, with Flare came additional protocols such as the FTC, then staking and validation. So at first, it was a main focus on the FTSO. Once that was technically sound, Flare moved on to the other protocols. And as an infrastructure provider on Flare, you have to dive in and run all those protocols, or else you're not rewarded for them. So as an infrastructure provider on Flare, there's a lot more hands-on work, monitoring solutions that need to be written. And now Flare has more so an open source, templates for monitoring for the FTSO, for the FDC. But again, back in the day, it was all from scratch. So that was Aureus Ox. We still run a very performant provider on Flare. So if you need to stake, or we have plenty of staking room actually. We stake 3 validators at this time, or self-bond 3 validators at this time. So plenty of room there. And we also have plenty of room on our FTSO provider as well. So if you're looking to do either one of those things, great returns. And yeah, so uh, once things started kind of running a little bit more on autopilot for Aureus Ox, I really wanted to build something else and kind of tap into my roots as an iOS developer. I've been an iOS developer for probably about, I don't know, 10 years probably now at this point. And I saw there's a little, in my opinion, there's something missing in the crypto wallet market. And what's missing is that native experience. Most wallets, they have a browser. There's sort of this fragmented experience where you're kind of you need to go to a browser to access a D app. And yes, it's a little bit more open because you can kind of do whatever you want. But to a new user, you really don't get or somebody who's new to crypto, say, you don't really get a Web 2 like experience. And really, that's the goal, in my opinion, right? You want to present a traditional app experience, but in the back have all of the decentralized transactions that are necessary to facilitate any actions that you want to inside of the application. So instead of tapping a button on some of these wallets, you need to go to the browser, type in a URL. Whether that URL is correct or not, who knows. So again, it also reduces the risk. So you go to that URL, you don't know if that's a trusted URL or not. Then you have to go figure out how to use that decentralized application. Figure out where that money is. And every time you want to go and see what you put into that app, you need to go back to it. Now, with Oxen Flow, you take that whole experience, you sort of abstract it out into their own little widgets inside of the application itself. And it's a tap of the button experience, right? So if you want to interact with something like Scepter, you can either go swap for Scepter on the decentralized exchange. We don't have a direct integration yet with Scepter, but maybe that's something that we look into now, after post Firelight, because we actually built out a whole experience for that. But you tap a button, and behind the scenes, you sign the transaction, you get a check mark. You really don't need to know any of that information, what's happening behind the scenes. You just know that it's decentralized, and you trust the app developer, the Oxen Flow app developer, that everything's going right, and you can interact with that decentralized application. You can see the balances of whatever is there, and then whenever you go to the app, that's what you see. You don't have to go to the browser, find what you just did before, and then figure it out. So it's really trying to present this traditional app-like experience, but built on blockchain rails.
Yep.
So yeah, and you know, and that's a little bit about Oxen Flow, how I got into it, and yeah.
Well, I can tell you that yes, we stake to your validators.
Yes, I do.
You can actually see it yourself as well. If you check underneath the staking button, there's the little staking information
Yep.
that shows all the different validators that we stake to. So definitely happy to stake there. And while of course you can build staking into your app, just if you're able to swap for S-Flare, that exposes you to the same rewards. So it really doesn't matter how you got your S-Flare. That's I think important in this case as well. And maybe it's even simpler for the user than to understand. Like, okay, now I have Red-Flare and I need to stake it.
And yeah, now I need to unlock, or I need to wait for a cooldown period to unlock it. So it's also, you know, building that experience is it's part of Oxen Flow, right? Like I build in the best way to make it simple for a user to understand it who doesn't necessarily need to understand it, if that makes sense.
That makes absolute sense. I mean, I have
Um,
suffered through DeFi as well. So I you know, you learn by suffering in DeFi, and
absolutely.
I think most people can agree with that they would have been happy to have such an option as Oxen Flow available to them to, you know, get a soft landing instead of the smack in the face.
Yeah, sometimes it gets unpleasant.
All right, so diving into another question. So where are you now with the protocols, and what are your possible next steps or the things that you expect?
Absolutely. So Aureus Ox will, you know, will live on in perpetuity, and we will, you know, obviously continue to maintain our performance there. We're always working to make tweaks. You know, basically, how can I even streamline this further, this portion of the business? And yeah, I mean, Aureus Ox has pretty decent brand recognition as it is currently, and I think it's here for the long run. Oxen Flow, we have a few pretty, you know, in my opinion, pretty big integrations coming up. One of them being the Firelight integration. We actually have that in App Store review currently, and so hopefully that'll be released sometime this week. And like really so Oxen Flow is currently on iOS, right? And we're going to look to scale that to other users. And the first platform that we're looking to scale that to is a native Mac OS desktop application. And one, you know, that's the simplest parallel to hit, you know, but also I think it provides really a complete experience for any sort of Apple user. It's something I'm really excited about, and it really does provide this seamless like desktop experience that you don't get anywhere else with any kind of wallet, right? You don't get a wallet feel with this. It's more so a neobank app feel, and that was kind of what I really wanted out of it. And I think we're really starting to to me, it's starting to actually get to the point where it's really actually feeling that way. Um, I would love to in the future maybe streamline on ramping and off ramping. See, there's always technical hurdles and legal obligations with that, but I think in the short term, Firelight's really big for us, and again, it's providing that experience where you don't have to go to the Firelight website, right? You're going into the earn tab on the app because it's a yield generating app, and you tap Firelight and you either tap stake or withdraw, or you go to the swap tab and you swap into STXRP. And then from there, we even offer we're starting to offer additional kinetic pools as well. So you can take your STXRP, you can, you know, which you see in your application, you don't have to go anywhere else. You go back to the earn tab, you tap kinetic, and then you can drop that STXRP and in the kinetic protocol. So I think just the addition of those protocols and built directly into the app is something really cool, something definitely to look forward to, and something to tell your friends who say, "Oh, hey, what how do I get involved with this whole flare thing? Or how do I, I see you getting these flare drops. The flare drops are ending soon, but I see, like, how do I earn yield on this flare?" You can tell them, like, all right, download this app and just put some money into it. Good, done. Like, you don't really even need to do much to be able to, educate them. There's always going to be that level of education, but I really do think it streamlines that whole process, especially for new users.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of cut me off there with the next question I had in mind, because I think that is the major reason why people in the current Flare community should go and check out the protocol, right? It's for those people that would like to get on board, because but who are maybe not as blockchain savvy
Right.
at the moment. So this is one way to get in to blockchain without knowing every single detail that you need to know that there, or leave your stuff in a central exchange where who knows what will happen to it.
Exactly. And you know what the thing is, like, you don't need to be an expert anymore to be an expert, if that also makes sense. Like, previously you would need to be somewhat of an expert to understand, like, oh, the flare's here, you need to put your flare in this portion or whatever. You're accessing all those things that an expert would know, but you're not necessarily an expert on each individual subject. You're just a general flare expert at that point. So, that's the way I envision it, and I really think it can push people in the right direction, or help them out in that way.
All right. So, what would you say is unique about your protocols?
So for Aureus Ox, I would say that, I think for a lot of the newer providers and the people who didn't start right off the bat, they probably use some form of templating, or, there was some base piece of code that they could use to build their provider. Aureus Ox never had that. So I would say that's pretty unique about us. Um, Even our monitoring software was written before there was any type of monitoring uh, repository out there, which is written by the Flare Foundation. It's pretty good, but mine was an original solution, so I think that's pretty unique. And for Oxen Flow, just like I said, it's unique in the way that it's bringing a traditional app experience to a blockchain backend. Uh, and I will note again, in order to create the wallet or generate a wallet, it's simply an email. You need to just tap into an email, and it uses passkeys to authenticate. We use a very secure key scheme, which is called TSS, where you get it's more or less a sharding of the key, and you actually hold on to a piece of the key material on your physical device. We make recovery very simple. And it's actually what we do is a little extra layer of security as opposed to most of those social logins. That's nothing to say against them, but we do provide an extra level of security to your wallet, being that you do hold on to a piece of the key material on your physical device. I know, like, things like Luminite, they use social logins, and in that, you're very reliant on whoever the provider of that login is for your wallet itself. If your email is compromised, you're kind of out on your wallet as well. There's a couple things that can go wrong that the solution that we built, and it was another custom solution that I built out myself, audited by FYEO. It provides an extra layer of security so that, say you lose your recovery portion of your key, you don't lose everything. Say you lose, and that goes the same way, like the email portion of the key, say something's compromised, you're not losing your wallet. Like, you're still secure in that way. And it was built. It took a little while to build, and I will say, but it was built with care. And for for it to actually have some longevity. So so yeah, I will say that's also very unique, and I can attest to how unique it is, because I know that a lot of even the service that we use for TSS, I'm the only one who actually built this out and did it. So um, that's in my opinion, that's it's really unique, and it's really quite a large value add. But again, it's something that's not seen, and we built it so that it's very seamless. But it's something to actually note when you're trying to choose which wallet to use.
Yeah, that's the disadvantage often of iOS apps, right? There might be something unique behind the scenes. You have no idea, because
Yep.
the whole point was that you wouldn't notice.
Exactly, right. That's the idea. Like, I don't want anybody to know, but you should know.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I think we're coming close to the end. So, is there anyone or any group that you would like to do a call out to?
Yeah, I mean, a huge shout out to people on the Flare community. They're great. Some of them that support doing beta tests and testing out the application, really great with, um, you know, providing bug reports and giving me feedback, and it's very, very helpful. The guys at Flare Factor are fantastic for that. A few in the Flare community, and also a shout out to the Flare Foundation as well. Very very supportive of helping me to build Oxen Flow, and any questions I might have are very supportive of. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much for joining us for this episode, and hope to see you again in the future.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.